guys, welcome back to another new video. Today I want to take a look at I don't have it yet, but I want to create a bootstrapping script for Arch Linux. Now, in the context of my YouTube channel, probably the closest thing I've done to this is I have this Mac OS setup script. I had a little playlist about making this thing. There's two areas of it. There's a sort of an update script that just updates all the apps that I use. And then there's an install script where the goal is to do three things. Pull down dot files, install all of the apps that I want to use, and automatically set up as much of the system configuration and preferences as I can. Now, that's the install script. We also have the update script. Very simple. All it does is run all of the various commands that I need to update all my programs, clear caches, and keep things running pretty well, that sort of thing. So let's do the same thing for Arch Linux. So if I go into my dot files here and into my bin folder, I already have an update script that I created. I basically just cloned my Mac OS update script, and don't worry, you won't have to watch any other videos to understand this. I'm just going to pop into this update script real quick here. And you can see all we're doing is we're running sudo pacman -syu. Now that's the system update script. Effectively, all it's doing here is it's pulling down any new files here and then updating the apps with the U here. Now I also use the AUR for some apps, as I'm sure many Arch Linux users do, and my setup there is with the yay interface helper, the AUR helper, yay. And the reason I like this one, and I'm sure most of them function like this is just the one that I picked, is because the commands for yay and the commands for pacman are basically identical. Now we don't have any like Python apps or npm apps or anything like that installed at the moment, Flatpak, anything like that. So right now, all I have to do is I have to pacman -syu and yay -syu, and that should update all of the apps on my system. And then I have pacman -sc, which should clear the caches and directories and things, get rid of things that we don't need, cache files, temporary files, that type of thing. And the same thing over here with yay. Now I've also put a couple of echo messages in here, nothing too crazy. And then all you have to do is whenever you're out here in the directory where it lives, all you have to do is you run chmod +x and then type in the name of the file and it will become executable. And then if you go into your configuration for bash or zesh or anything and you add, let me get into my zesh config here. You add this line to the top, path equals path:home / a directory. In my case, this is the .bin folder where I store all of those scripts. Right here, what you can do is you can run that script from anywhere on the system. So we could do something like a update, and now we're running a little script. This will update all of the apps on my system, and it doesn't take too long. We have to just sit here and kind of hit yes a couple of times. I think 5 times total, and you can see here it's pulled down. It's going to update ImageMagick, Python, Qt Browser, and Ray 2-1. I don't even actually know what that is, but that's okay. I'm not going to go ahead and do this update right now. Seems like a bad idea, so I'm just going to kill out of this script. But you can see how this would work. This is the update script. It's very simple. I recommend everyone get one of these bad boys. Almost everyone has more than one command that you want to run to update things, and especially like the clearing caches and that type of thing is super, super handy to have in an update script. But of course, I want an install script. Arch Linux in particular really lends itself to having some sort of an install script because most of the installation for Arch happens in the TTY. So the idea of being able to get a hold of an update script and then just run that straight from the TTY to do most of the system setup for us is incredibly, incredibly appealing. So let's go ahead and try to make this happen. So let's go into the bin folder. This is where I keep my scripts. And you can see I have a bootstrap folder right here. And if I cd inside of that, right now I've just got one bootstrapping script. This is for Mac OS. Now, of course, I don't really want that here. So I'm going to create a new folder here and I'll call this one Arch. And now I have an Arch script. All right, so let's just go inside of this Arch script. And we might even maybe copy over like a bit from the Mac OS script. Okay, you know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll delete everything. Whoops. We'll delete everything up here except for this top line. What this is how we declare that we want to use a bash script. We're going to go into shebang /user/bin/env bash. And this is a really portable way to write this. It should work on just about every system. If we open up another terminal here and we try to go into /usr/bin env, you can see here, this still exists and we'll have bash right here inside of it. This is how we start a bash script, so we'll keep that. I'm gonna save and quit the changes and then hop out here and I'm gonna run chmod +x on Arch. And then whenever we go back inside of that script, it's executable now and we can run it and do some tests with it. So the first thing that we really want to do with this script before we install any apps is we want to pull down our dot files. And the only tricky thing there is that we want to do it via SSH. And so the first thing that we really want to do is make sure that we have both Git and SSH installed. Now, the question is, how would I be getting this script onto the TTY? To go ahead and run it. Possibly I could put it on a flash drive or something and like plug it into the system. That's definitely possible. But I think the most seamless way to do this is to do an HTTPS git pull on my dot files and then just move this script out of whatever location it is in my dot files and into like the home directory and run everything from there. So that's going to assume two things. It's going to assume one, that Git is installed. Previously, we'll have to install Git before we install anything else. And that's also going to assume that I've moved that Arch Linux script, the Arch bootstrapping script that is, into my home directory. So let's echo that out right there. We'll say before running, ensure Git is installed and Arch bootstrapping script is in the home directory. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we need to generate an SSH key so that we can pull down dot files. To create an SSH key, there's a command that we need. It's open SSH. But before we can do that, what we have to do is we have to install SSH. So we're going to do pacman or sudo pacman -s and install a package called OpenSSH. Okay, and that'll be the very, very first step in this script. And then once that's done, we can generate the SSH key. And to do that, I've forgotten the exact command, but that's okay because it should be right here in my, I don't really need that anymore. It should be right here in my macOS bootstrap script towards the bottom here. Oh yeah, here it is right here. This is the command, SSH keygen -t ecdsa-b 521, whatever. This is just making sure that it's like a good, secure SSH key. We can literally just paste that in, and this will generate a new SSH key for our system. Now this is another tricky part of this script, is we need to be able to add the public SSH key into GitHub to get it to work. So we'll need two devices to do this. And I don't know, I don't think that won't be a problem for me, and this is a script for me, but that might be a problem for you. In which case, probably the best way to do a script like this would be to get everything set up to the point that you're in a desktop environment and have a browser. That way you can add this there. But again, this isn't really going to be much of an issue for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cat out the SSH key, which should be, let's see here, it should be in .bin or .ssh /ID ecdsa-public. That's the public SSH key. Keep that there for a second. I'm keeping it small because you don't really need to read that. It's not like an issue if you do, but we're going to cat out .ssh /ID ecdsa-pub. And then right in front of this, we're going to echo add this public key to your GitHub account before continuing. So then what we'll want to do is we'll want some sort of like a hard stop so that we have a second to add this to our GitHub account. And so what we'll do is we'll go into echo and we'll say hit Y when ready, maybe? Let's see, run tree here at the end. And then I'll create a stop to make sure that this works properly. And the easiest way that I know to just have a script sort of stop and wait is we're going to use this command read. And what that's going to do is just take an input and put it into a variable that we don't even really need to use later. So I'll just call this variable Y, and then I'll add one more line here. Well, here's what we'll do. We'll say press any key when ready to continue. Okay. And then we can go ahead and try out this script and see what happens. So if we run the Arch script here, it's going to say before running, ensure Git's installed, Error target not found. Open SSH. What? Oh, well, that's probably a good thing that we ran this. So let's do pack-ss and search for SSH and see what the name of the package is. Oh, it's open SSH without the dash. Sorry. So let's go back into that script, and we're going to go get rid of the dash here. And then we're going to also echo out a blank line here and maybe a blank line after this as well. Sorry about the cars driving by the way. This is going to be one of those videos where the cars are just going to be a constant factor. And then we'll echo out that. Okay. Maybe we'll do one more blank one. We're just creating some blank lines in this script so that things are a bit easier to read. So exit that, clear out, run Arch. Okay, so before running, ensure Git is installed and Arch bootstrapping script is in the home directory. Boom. Warning, open SSH is up to date. Reinstalling, reinstalled. It wants to know if we want to reinstall it. I'm going to say no. Now it's saying, hey, create yourself an SSH key. I'm going to say no. And then we cancel it. Shit. Okay, well, what we could do is I could run the Arch script again. Don't want to install, and I'll create the SSH key somewhere else. So we'll put it in repo/.ssh, and then we'll give it no passphrase. And then it's saying, hey, add this public key to your GitHub account, and it'll cat out the file if it exists. Well, it should be catting out a file. Oh, I need to add the home directory there. And then press any key when you're ready, and then it should start running tree. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's go back into that script again, and we want to add the tilde/ in front of this so it knows to look in the home directory. And all right, let's try and run this one more time to make sure we're good. So we'll clear and run that Arch script. Okay, so before running, yeah, this looks good. I don't want to install open SSH. Then it's going to ask us, where do we want to save this? I'm going to give it a fake location so that it will fail. Oh, it did not fail. Oh, cool, it just created in this directory. Anyways, so it's printing out the fingerprint and all this, but that's okay. I'm going to delete it in a second. It'll probably be blurred out by the time you're watching this anyways. And then you can see it does print out my actual public key down here. And that's just because, I mean, that's how it works, because I've got the script set up to print my actual public key. So ignore this big line of blur. Importantly, press any key when ready to continue. When I press a key, it will go ahead and run tree in this directory. And then we'll just go into that Arch script again, and we are all set. Cool. So delete that tree thing. And then once we're ready to go ahead and install things, we can get started. So first thing we want to do, we want to cd into our home directory. From here, what we want to do is, if we don't already have it, we want to make a directory called a repo. Now, if we run makedir on a folder that we already have, that's perfectly okay. It will just say, hey, you already have this folder, and go right on to the next step. So then we want to change directory into repo. Then we change directory into repo, and then what we want to do is we want to pull down .files from GitHub. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to do git clone git at github.com, my username /dot, and then we're just going to make a whole bunch of copies of this and pick all of the files that we want to download. So I've got one here. I want to download my .dot files, obviously, and then I want to install my fonts directory, and then I want to also install my website directory, and then I also want to install maybe my... Actually, that's probably good for now. I'll also want to install my wallpapers directory, but what I want to do with this is put it down in a different directory. So after all of this git cloning is done, what I'll do is I'm going to change directory back out to home. And then what I want to do is I want to make a directory in the home directory, and I want to call it media if I don't already have it. And then we're going to cd into media, and then there we go. And we'll just cd back into home after that's finished. Very, very nice. All right, so then from here, all of our dot files and git repository and wallpapers and things should be installed. So now what we need to do is we need to create symbolic links and things to make sure that they're in the right place. So we'll create another comment here and we'll say linking up dot files and stuff. And then let's create a whole bunch of symbolic links here. So we're going to do ln-s is how you create a symbolic link. And we'll start in the home directory, go into repo, go into fonts, go into my font folder, and then what we want to do is we want to link this into /user usr/share/fonts. I believe that's the right location. So that's where we want to link that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do ln-s from a very similar location from my dot folder, and we're going to link maybe the .bin folder. And then we're just going to drop that straight into the home directory. And we'll make a couple of copies of this because we want to do the same thing with my .config folder, as well as my my git config, which, hold up, I don't even remember how that's spelled. Let's just keep it up here and see all the things that I have symbolically linked. So, oh, some zshinv, the git config, the bin, the config folder. And is that it? Actually, that's it. There's only 4 things. Okay, so there's the git config, and then there is the zshinv file, and that is that. Sweet. My dot files are actually sort of relatively concise at the moment. Not to say that my home directory isn't a complete mess right now. I'm working on it. I'm new to Arch Linux still, so give me a little while to get that all hooked up. Anyways, this is looking pretty good, and so I think we're ready to go ahead and install apps. Oh, no. I know what we want to do first. We want to set up Yay, AUR helper. So this is pretty important. What we want to do is let's look up the Yay page on GitHub. So we're going to go over to GitHub and we're going to look up the Yay sort of package manager. All right, so you can see you get some pretty clear instructions here for how to run this. We're gonna run git clone this repository here, and then we're gonna cd into Yay, and we're gonna run make package -si. Couple of things that we need to do first is there is a base package. I believe it's called, let's do pack-ss base devel. I know I'm not crazy. Let me find what I'm looking for here. We're gonna go into the Arch wiki. These are like my 2 most used websites, by the way, since I've switched to Arch. It's the Arch wiki and GitHub. It's kind of wild. I probably get on there more than I get on YouTube. So then we're going to search for make package, and oh, here it is. Okay, so before continuing, install the base devel group of packages. Sweet. So these are all of the packages in that group. We need them in order to use make package, at least in this context. So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and just copy that name. The one thing I hate about Linux is that the copy and paste shortcuts are different in a browser or in a terminal. I know it's because Control-C is, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but just bring that up. Anyways, let's go ahead. And the first thing to do is we're going to do sudo pacman-s and install the base devel group. And also, these are supposed to be lowercase s's here in these symbolic links. That would create some issues for you, so sorry about that. And then once we have all of these installed, what we want to do is we want to git clone this bit right here. But I don't want to do it in the home directory because I am trying to keep my home directory relatively clean. So what we'll do first is we'll cd out to our home directory and then into the repo, or no, we'll cd into the .config folder. And then we'll git clone all this, and then we'll cd into the Yay folder, and from there we can then run, I am on the wrong freaking tag again, make package -si. So we can copy and paste that again if we want to. All it really is make package -si. And then once we're done with all of that, what we can do is we can install or go back to the home directory, and then we should be good to go ahead and install applications. And from here out, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna run sudo pacman-s, and we're some amount of things. And then we're gonna wanna run sudo, or no sudo for Yay, we don't need it. And then yay-s for some things. We're gonna create 2 little variables here. So we're gonna do a question mark, surround that with some squigglies. Inside of that, we're gonna type in maybe pack, and then we'll do some square brackets. And inside of that, we'll drop the ampersand, or the @ sign, that's not an ampersand. And then what we can do is just copy that, drop it down there, and we'll change that to Yay. Or maybe we'll be more verbose and we'll say pacman. And then what we can do is we're gonna create 2 different little variable tags up here. So we'll say one is gonna be pacman equals, and then some parenthesis. And then the other one is going to say yay equals, and then some parenthesis. And all we have to do is now fill out these app lists. Now, if you're interested, I'm not going to do this because this is more, I'm basing this on just like a sort of minimal install that I can get set up later. Anyways, if you run something like pacman-q, it will print out all of the apps that you have installed. This is too much. I've been experimenting with Arch, so I have a bunch of stuff installed that I'm probably going to uninstall or that I definitely don't want on every single system. Let's just install the basics. We would want the Xorg group. We would want a window manager. Right now I'm using Awesome. We would want a terminal. I'm not super picky right now. I'm experimenting with some of them, but we'll do Kitty maybe, or I don't know, maybe we'll just use Termite. And I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff we would want. I'm just going to kind of fill it out. This is a good image previewer. We want NVim, or it's called NeoVim. I know down here in the yay, I would definitely want Spotify and Dropbox. Both of those come out of the AUR. And I don't know, I'll probably add a lot more to the app list, but for now, that'll be good. That kind of gets the idea across. I'm pretty happy with this. This is a good starting point, and I'll tweak with it once I've run it a few times and see how it goes and if we have any areas that I might want to jack with. And hey, I might end up making a second video about it. I don't know. That happens sometimes. Anyways, thank you everyone for checking out this video. We'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. All the things. See you later.